Hey, Angie. Hello there, and thank you for joining the National Small Business Association today. We're very much looking forward to this LinkedIn Live conversation with our friends over at the Export-Import Bank of the U.S. I'm Molly Day, here with the National Small Business Association, and we've got a great conversation planned for you today. Our goal is to keep it to about 30 minutes, so I'd like to jump right in. We have two experts joining us today with the EXIM Bank. First off, we have LaTaunya Darden. She's a Senior Business Development Officer in the Emerging Exporter Business Development Division at the U.S. EXIM Bank. She works closely with exporters who apply for EXIM Working Capital Guarantee Program, as well as export credit insurance. LaTaunya is a valuable asset to the agency and has a passion for guiding exporters and lenders through the process. She builds awareness about EXIM Bank's products and services to small businesses across the U.S. Our other expert with us today is Jonathan Brady. He is also a Senior Business Development Officer at EXIM Bank within the Emerging Exported Business Development Division. Jonathan possesses a strong background in international relations and economics from having worked for the Financial Industry Regulation Authority, or FINRA, the U.S. Treasury Department in the International Banking Office, and 10 years with the Ohio Department of Development's International Trade Division. At EXIM, Jonathan serves as an export counselor and trade finance specialist for current and potential exporters. LaTaunya and Jonathan and the entire team at XM play a critical and often unsung role in helping countless small businesses export their goods and services across the world. Excuse me. So now for the conversation, I just want to tell you a little bit about how this is going to go. We're going to kind of walk you through how one of their counseling sessions go. Anybody can set up a counseling session. You can go in, they can talk to you about what products and services you might have that could be exported, and kind of walk you through the whole process of how those counseling sessions go so you can see what a great resource it is over at XM. So to just dive in, Jonathan and LaTaunya, can you give our audience a quick overview of Exim Bank and its role in supporting small business?
Yes, so I will start. So, Exim Bank is the export credit agency for the United States. We are also the federal government. Most countries have an ECA that supports exports their businesses provide in their respective countries, and that is the role that we play at Exim Bank for U.S. businesses.
Yes, thank you, Latanya. Great to be with you today, and thank you to Molly and your colleagues at the NSBA. I just want to add to Latanya's remarks that EXIM Bank, the Export-Import Bank of the United States, is essentially a provider of trade finance solutions. So what we do, we specialize in export credit insurance, loan backing guarantees for export working capital, and on an exceptional basis, direct loans. So we have programs for exporters interested in shorter term transactions. That tends to be insurance in support of um, your foreign receivables or unpaid invoices. And the other major product is a loan guarantee program for working capital, export working capital. And those are two of the basics. But today we're going to focus on the consultation process. So I just wanted to mention briefly some of our trade finance solutions.
Yeah, I am so sorry. How many years have we been doing Zoom conversations and still that mute button gets me every time. I do apologize for the radio silence there. And in the midst of it, I was rambling on about a survey that we had done a couple of years back with XM, talking about, what are some of the concerns and hurdles that small businesses face when it comes to exporting. And the number one concern is about getting paid. So, Jonathan, I'll have you start first. Can you talk a little bit about,
Mhm.
you know, if for people who are unfamiliar with XM, I know you just talked about some of the products you do.
Mhm.
How does XM help with that big concern of getting paid?
Yes, very good question because um, exporters do face risk, and one of them that we specialize in is mitigating risk for um, exporters selling on credit terms. So there may be a negotiation process between the exporter and buyer in the foreign country, and they decide to they agree to selling on credit terms or open account. And what that does is introduce an element of risk because essentially the exporter has an unpaid invoice, or we call it a foreign receivable, unpaid invoice or receivable. And there's a waiting period that introduces an element of risk because there could be buyer non-payment or buyer default. Maybe they negotiated 30, 60, 90, 120-day terms. In case of buyer default, then XM can step in and provide coverage of 90 to 95% with an insurance policy. So it enables the exporter in the United States to move from cash in advance or payment in advance terms to credit terms or open account. But with that risk, what we want to do, if the exporter does apply for and get approved for an insurance policy, then we can take much of the risk out of that export transaction, and it gives the exporter peace of mind. So definitely one of our best known products, probably what we're most known for at the Export Import Bank.
And this is something for someone who's never exported before. I have Molly's pie shop that I like to go to, you know, markets on the farmers markets on the weekend. You could help me, even if I've never done anything like it before.
Yes, we can assist you with that a transaction of that magnitude. So, in the past, the trade credit insurance policies that were available, the underwriters did like to see some a little export traction, but now there is a policy available to businesses who have never exported before. They do have domestic operations here, but as far as exporting before, that is not required.
That's great. And something we also talked a lot about in our survey that we did a couple years back was, can you export services?
Mhm. Yes,
Okay,
yes. That we do like to touch on the range of products and services that we can support because XM supports a variety, including products for manufacturing, also energy, traditional energy or renewables, and agricultural commodities, another example, but a wide range of services we do cover. And things like architectural firms, construction management, engineering services, for example, highly exportable. We could also look at the medical and healthcare fields. The skills that a doctor or nurse may have and take overseas and provide that service in person. um, IT is huge. We get a lot of requests from small businesses, maybe micro enterprises, 1, 2, 3 employees who have um, skill and expertise in software as a service, for example. Um, and then education and training. So somebody who's worked in the private sector or uh, uh, the public sector for 10, 15, 20 years has gathered an enormous amount of experience and expertise that could be exportable in education and training. Just another example. So many services are exportable, and you're in the right place at Exim Bank if you are a service provider.
that's
And
great.
just to add to that, in June, I presented to a group of businesses going on a trade mission to Japan. They were mostly service providers. Two of the businesses applied for a policy, was approved, and they have a policy in hand. I believe they left today to go to Japan, and so they're very excited, such as we are as well,
Mhm.
because we don't have as many service provider customers as customers that manufacture a product. So we're very excited and looking forward to their success when they return.
That's great. What's I'm glad to see that we've established that anybody can use XM services. And so, with that in mind, these are consultations and services and resources available to anybody looking to grow their business. Let's jump right into what the consultation process looks like.
Mhm.
How do they? And LaTaunya, I'd love you to jump on this first. How does an exporter actually request a consultation, and what happens once they fill out the form to do that?
Great question. So when a business visits our website, exim.gov, they can request a consultation there, but it will benefit most if they also go a little further and go to the emerging exporter business development page and schedule the consultation. They will be referred to one of our team members, other business development officers we have on the team. Once they submit the form and schedule the consultation on the call, they will be asked questions such as their operating history, um, their revenues, just a ballpark. Um, where they interested to export to, and then we follow up with a email to them with the country limitation schedule, because that is something that they would need to review to determine if we are even open or providing support in a particular country. And then we discuss the resources that are available to them if they're not quite ready for XM. There are external resources at the state and local level that we often connect them with to assist in their export readiness. So it is beneficial no matter what stage your business is in, even if you are a startup or you are an experienced exporter, it is beneficial to contact us to schedule that consultation meeting.
And it sounds like it's pretty simple. Is there a lot of prep that goes into it? Do you have to provide a lot of forms and details about your business? Talk to me just
No,
briefly about
no,
that.
Mhm.
it's a one page form. It maybe is 5, 6 questions tops.
Mhm. Takes only 2 to 3 minutes max to fill it out,
That's great.
if that long.
That's great.
Mhm.
Jonathan, I want to kind of build on this a little bit. Um, what's going to happen? So they fill out this form, they submit it.
Mhm.
What's going to happen on that first call with the XM export specialist?
Yes, yes. So that's an excellent point. What we want to do is we want both sides to get to know one another. So we usually kick off the consultation by asking for example, a member of the NSBA inquiring about XM programs. We want to get to know a little more about them, who they are, what they do, examine their business model, also get a better sense of their exporter readiness, for example, and whether or not they have a business plan in place for international. These are common questions that we would normally explore. But the first stage is just to get to know more about the um, the person inquiring about XM, and then what we want to do is try to determine which one of our trade finance solutions will match up with their needs and interest, if they're ready to move to that stage. It could simply be inquiring about what XM does, so we're happy to provide some basics about the export credit insurance, as I mentioned earlier, export working capital. If a client is new to XM, we're probably looking at one of those two programs, either insurance to protect foreign receivables or access to lending to support um, a shorter term loan from a private sector bank. XM's role would be to provide a loan guarantee. We don't lend directly in this case for short term working capital. But what we'd want to do is explore their needs, their interest, what's a good fit. And then, as LaTaunya mentioned earlier, um, start thinking about the roadmap, how to get to the next steps on their international business journey. So we're trying to assess their exporter readiness and determine what are the next steps in that international business journey. Usually we budget 30 minutes for the call. It may not take that long. It could be 15 to 20 minutes. So the standard consultation is up to 30 minutes, but it doesn't have to take that much time.
And then, so after that first call where you're kind of feeling out, okay, we think what this person needs is credit insurance. What happens after that first call? What's the next step?
Okay.
Well, after that call, once trade credit insurance is determined that that's what their ask is, we send them an application for them to complete and return to us at their convenience. Once the application is reviewed and all of the questions are asked to our satisfaction. And I also like to pause and say, for any of our programs or any government loans or grants, you will need a unique entity identifier number, also known as a UEI, and the DUNS number. We do have a team in house that assist businesses to acquire that UEI number. So once they have all of the requirements in place, we enter the application in our system. And usually the turnaround for an approval decision is anywhere between 3 to 5 working days.
That's great. So really quite quick. That's
Yes,
fantastic. That's great.
yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Jumping into who should ask for a consult? When is the time? So right now I'm just at farmers markets on the weekends. I'm not actually, manufacturing or putting anything together that could be shipped. So is that the right time for consultation, or when would you recommend that people come in and reach out to XM?
Mhm. I can respond. Usually we say the sooner the better because we want the early stage client, pre-client to be familiar with the basic concepts. And they may not be XM ready today or a month from now, but that's fine because we would like to introduce the basic topics so that as they're building a plan for international business development, they know the steps to take and they know when to implement an export finance solution from XM Bank. So the sooner the better. We like to say for introductory purposes, and that way we can play a role of identifying next steps and making suitable referrals so that the pre-client can move in the right direction. Even if it's not an XM solution, that's fine because what we're trying to do is offer personalized, customized service in the emerging exporter division. That's what we emphasize. So it's not about checking the boxes for XM Bank. Rather, we want to get to know the other side and have time to build that roadmap. It's all about guidance and building a roadmap so that the early stage client gets to the next stage and knows which doors to knock on and how to
That's great.
proceed.
That's great. I do have a question I'd like to, because I think it really relates to what you're talking about here, Jonathan and LaTaunya. Our friend Christian wants to know, can you explain when in the process a bank is introduced into the conversation? Do you match folks with lenders, or do the business themselves need to, come and talk to you about, hey, I have this lender that I think is interested, but they're not familiar with XM, or when in the process does that happen, and how do you guys help facilitate that, if at all?
Okay, yes, I can answer that. So we do have a delegated lender list on our website that has the lenders in our network who we provide a guarantee to finance the export uh, loan. Now, if a business does not have a lender in our network, they can come to us directly and request a guarantee from XM. So there are two ways that you can approach it, either through one of our delegated lenders or through your own lender that you have a relationship with as a business.
Okay. That's great. Hopefully that answered your question, Christian. I want to kind of keep talking through this consultation. Um, you know, so what if I come to you and I've got my weekend business and I'm not ready. What exactly for a company like mine, and this is all just a pretend company. Um, but
Mhm.
but for somebody who's not quite who's new to exporting, how can XM support that if they're not quite ready to take that next step?
Well, I don't think it's even though a company is not ready, it still is beneficial for them to start educating themselves about the process. I often recommend businesses subscribe to various websites where they can review on-demand webinars to educate themselves. There are a plethora of free events out there. Also, that is a good way to meet other businesses who they could potentially partner with to bid on that export opportunity. So there isn't a specific time when a business should start the process of educating themselves about exporting. They should do it, and say if you're a young business, say not even 2 years old yet, but it may take 3 years of educating yourself and getting your financials to the point where uh, they are look great or look good to a lender. I've had companies that I've met at a conference and they have circled back with me 4 years later. They weren't ready at the time
Mhm.
when we met, but 4 years later they've contacted me and say, hey, I think I'm ready now. What is it that I should do? And then that's when I will ask the series of questions about their operating history, their financials, how many employees they have with their manufacturing, the basic common questions that go into a consultation.
Okay, that's great. Thanks for that. Um, I think you've touched on this, but I just want to double back. There's no such thing as too small or too early. Is that right? Fair to say?
Mhm.
Great.
Correct.
Okay. So let's talk about an experienced exporter. What challenges or opportunities could one of the consultations help address? If we have somebody who's, already exporting to one or two countries, would like to expand, how can you guys help them? And Jonathan, if you want to jump on that one.
Sure. Let me start. A couple of approaches. One is if the experienced exporter is planning to expand and exploring new markets, that's where one of our resource partners could play a role, such as the U.S. Commercial Service under the Department of Commerce, federal, and their state level international trade offices. I don't want to overlook the impact that states have in economic development, including many states, almost all, have some form of international trade office, and they have networks overseas. Um, the U.S. Commercial Service has its own network. It's known as, the full name is U.S. and Foreign Commercial Service, and that indicates the fact that there are 70 plus countries worldwide in which the U.S. Commercial Service has a presence and is providing services like B2B matchmaking, business to business matchmaking, or it could be business to government if it's public sector. But we would recommend, if we're identifying a roadmap and helping build a series of steps, an experienced exporter may want to consider business to business matchmaking service provided by the U.S. and Foreign Commercial Service through one of their 70 branch offices. The point of entry is here in the United States, just to clarify, because they have a huge footprint across the United States. So that's something the local office could help arrange through their commercial officers co-located at U.S. embassies worldwide. Many states provide something similar. They may have independent contractors, a network overseas, and they can identify and help connect our U.S. based exporters to potential buyers in foreign countries, or an intermediary. Sometimes it's an agent or distributor search. So the key to growth may be working with an intermediary in country rather than selling directly to an end user. But these are just some uh, examples of how an experienced or seasoned exporter can get to the next stage. And it may be somebody who's already exporting to countries in Central and South America, but knows nothing about East and Southeast Asia, for example. And that's where we would recommend working with one of EXIM's resource partners for
Right.
expansion.
Thanks for that, Jonathan. LaTaunya, if you could, we just got a question coming and asking about tariffs. Does that impact at all anything XM is doing?
No, it does not. But before I get to that, I want to add to Jonathan's point. So, uh, also, we have export promotion partners that we work closely with that help us to raise awareness about XM, and they provide specific services as well. So they can also assist, as Jonathan said, with locating buyers abroad. They assist new exporters or businesses that have been operating for a while, but they just don't have an export plan. They help to develop that as well. So I just wanted to make that point known. Um, as far as the tariffs are concerned, tariffs come into play when when goods are coming into a specific country, which XM does not support imports into the United States. So tariffs are a concern or an issue when somebody is importing goods into their country. So that really does not affect XM's support or its mission.
Okay, thanks for that. Um, I kind of run into we're winding, getting close to our end time. If you folks have questions, certainly feel free to put those in the chat. We do want to request that everybody keeps just questions in there so that we can kind of sort through as quickly as possible, since we've only got just a few minutes left together. Um, uh, can you talk to me a little bit about again, kind of staying on this more advanced exporter track? How has XM matched them with the right tools to expand further? If you've got an example or something that might be really interesting for us to hear. Jonathan, if you want to hop on that one.
Sure. Well, for this is going back to the experienced exporter or one with export countries. What we can do is go beyond the introductory level of a standard consultation. So XM does have other programs, and um, central to everything we do at XM is the concept of exporter competitiveness. So whether it be export credit insurance or export working capital, we want to ensure that US based manufacturers and service providers and agricultural commodities as well, whatever the particular product or service or specialization may be, we want them to have access to the tools that will enable us to level the playing field. So that our mission at XM is to create and sustain jobs tied to U.S. export sales. And how we can do that is by leveling the playing field. So that's a guiding principle for everything we do. And in the 2020s, what we've seen is that the global marketplace is increasingly harsh place to operate. So XM has introduced new programs in order to recognize that we need to bolster domestic manufacturing in the United States, for example, with some of that um, output or production earmarked for exports. So we want to support U.S. jobs tied to manufacturing and manufacturing programs in the United States. We can harness with a program such as Make More in America. It's an initiative that allows us to harness our medium and long-term finance for the benefit of domestic manufacturing, so long as a portion of that is exported in the future. So XM is being responsive to the needs of US-based exporters in this increasingly harsh global environment where some countries may be engaging in unfair competition or imposing aggressive industrial policy. And so that's what some of our exporters are up against. And XM has been responsive and creative and is introducing new programs in the 2020s, including Make More in America and China and Transformational Exports Program, just to give you a couple of examples. But they would certainly be geared towards US based manufacturers and service providers that may want to explore a different approach to trade finance solution.
Okay. Thanks for that, Jonathan. I did see a question that just came in, and we're a little bit over our half-hour mark, but I don't want to cut off a good conversation, so we'll keep going with the last couple of questions. One asks, does XM offer services to businesses owned by non-U.S. citizens? LaTaunya, can you speak to that?
Yes, XM can potentially offer support to non-US businesses if there is an American partner, if you will. It must have an American partner with the non-US businesses to potentially receive support. And the type of support would have to be explored on, on a case-by-case basis, i.e. A consultation call. That's how we can really define or dig deeper as to what type of support we could potentially provide. I'm sorry.
That's great. Another question kind of along those lines. Do you offer, this is from Crystal, do you offer services for e-commerce in the U.S.? Jonathan, do you want to try and take a swing at that?
Well, it depends case by case. We tend to support the business model that's it's B2B or business to government. So if this is strictly retail oriented and it's business to consumer, then it's unlikely in that case. But we would just have to do a deeper dive on the business model and understand what is the nature of the transaction, who's the actual buyer, is that buyer located in another country, is it creating an export transaction, or is that transaction moving through an intermediary in the United States? So we just have to do a deeper dive on the business model. But our focus tends to be business to business with a buyer in a foreign country, or business to government with a government agency as the other side of the equation.
That's great. I do want to point to the folks watching. We've got a great chat going, and several people are asking questions, and our good friend Eric over at XM is responding to a lot of those questions and including links. So be sure to check those links that Eric's been posting in the chat because they're tremendously useful. They'll send you, to direct to specific. If you're looking for something in West Africa, there's a website where you can find that kind of information and find out, who you're going to want to reach out to. So definitely look at the links in the chat; they're really helpful. Kind of wrapping things up, and LaTaunya, if you could take this one, where can people go online to request a consultation and learn more? And I'm sure that Eric is going to post a link in the chat there for everybody. But LaTaunya, if you can just talk a little bit about that, and then we'll get things wrapped up.
Yeah, sure. So you can request a consultation by visiting exim.gov and going deeper when you're on the site to the Emerging Exporter Business Development Division. Our team is there. You can submit a time that's convenient for you for the consultation. You will receive a response within 3 business days. You also can call to request a consultation, an 800 number, and I apologize, I do not know that offhand. I believe my colleague, Ms. Flowers, is on the line and can.
Oh, I have the number,
Okay.
LaTaunya.
Okay.
800-565-3946.
800-565-34.
3946.
Okay.
And that's for our call center, which can help.
565-3439.
3946, the last 4 digits.
Okay.
Yes. So that'll take the caller into our customer service team, the call center, and then it can be directed. But you can speak to a live person between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern. And it's another way to reach us in the Emerging Exporter Division.
Okay.
I think we just posted a link as well.
Okay.
It's grow.xm.gov/NSBA. So that link is in the chat as well, along with those phone numbers. But there, yeah, some really
Oh, great. I
um,
see it.
great
Yes.
resources there. So
Mhm.
thank you for that.
Oh, and
Um,
Molly, I just wanted to mention we
sure.
also have a blog on our website. Um, it's grow.xm.gov/blog, and it's a great way to learn about our programs and services. We have various subject matter experts at XM contributing to the blog. And one example, published May 21st, honoring global impact XM's 2025 exporters of the year. So we honored 12 exporters at our annual conference held in April this year in Washington, D.C. And there's a list of those 12 exporters. So if our audience members would just like to have some examples of successful exporters in a variety of industries across the United States. They're very short descriptions, one or two paragraphs, but it does feature a highlight of the annual conference. We do it every year and celebrate leading U.S. exporters and businesses of all sizes, small and family owned small businesses included in our award ceremony on an annual basis.
And I just want to attest to that. There are countless NSBA members who've been using XM for years. I've been with NSBA for 23 years now, and XM has been a great partner and a tremendous resource for NSBA members. Whether you're a one-shop accountant and you go over to England to help file expat tax returns, whether you're manufacturing crop dusting airplanes, we've got some members who have done a ton of great work and really grown their business beyond what they ever thought possible with the help of XM. So I want to thank Jonathan and LaTaunya and the entire team at XM for all the great work you do for businesses, and particularly for small businesses. It's something that we all care deeply about, and we really appreciate your expertise and your time and this specific outreach to really let people know that XM is for you. You don't have to go, through all kinds of hoops. Go directly to XM. The help is there. The resources are there, and it's a fantastic resource that, like I said at the very beginning, these are kind of some unsung heroes in the small business community because they really can help you grow your business. So I can't emphasize enough how what a tremendous resource they are or for you. So um, I want to thank everybody for their time again. Jonathan, LaTaunya, any closing comments you'd like to make?
I would just say schedule a consultation call with us. That is the first step, and it will just open a world of possibilities for you. All of our team members are very knowledgeable. We often collaborate. If we have questions about a specific issue or a matter with a business, so I would definitely encourage you to do that. I think our QR codes, if you scan the QR codes that they will make available, you can go directly to our page and schedule a consultation that way, or you can visit the site or call the number.
Hmm. And just building on Latanya's final comments, do check out our website and take a look at our events page because that's something which will enable our audience members to follow not only XM, but we frequently um, have webinars listed with our resource partners. Some of them we talked about today, U.S. and Foreign Commercial Service, and SBA, for example. Occasionally we'll have SBDC representatives. So great way just not only to learn about XM, but XM's partners who can provide support to potential and to current exporters. So definitely check out our events page. And then I mentioned earlier the blog at grow.xm.gov. That's a way to do a deeper dive on some of our trade finance solutions and learn more from XM's uh, subject matter experts. So yes, I would check out our website and follow us there.
That's great. Well, thanks so much, Jonathan, LaTaunya. I really appreciate your time. You certainly follow NSBA as well. If you can't find any of these links, ping us on LinkedIn. We will connect you with them. XM is one of our favorite federal agencies. They do great work. I really encourage everybody to reach out, get engaged, get involved, grow your business. Have a great rest of your afternoon, and everybody take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye
I
now.
look forward to hearing
Thank
from
you.
you. Bye bye.
Bye.